Hello everyone, I'm the okayest bassist, and this is the BASSics Volume 37. This is the little live stream podcast thing that, oh, this isn't at the right angle at all, is it? Okay, well. Apologies, I thought I had that set at the right angle. Put ye old weight on the back. Stay. Okay. Anyway, this is the little live stream podcast thing that I do. It's geared towards new players, so try to cover subjects that I would have liked to know when I was new. Not all of them, because I'm not super knowledgeable. So I try to get other folks in so that they can help with the teaching. Let's see here. Looking at the chat, see Jeffrey Boyle, peace sign, violin, looks like dancing guy, cat with heart ears, and then person turquoise waving. So all of those things back to you. Same to you, sir. Or ma'am, or individual, whatever the case may be. You, person, who are you, and should always be you. That. So, what I have thoughts on for today, gonna tackle something that is very, very beginner, very, very basic. Let me make sure that this bass is in tune. That's an E, that's an A, a D, and a G. That's pretty in tune to me. The bass I have today is this one, a Sterling Ray 2 with a custom 3D printed thumb rest having pickguard. Also, it's been swapped out. Might be able to see it on the thing if I can make sure it's on the screen. EMG has an EMG MMHZ, so Music Man HZ. Really stands for hertz, so I don't cycles per second. It's their passive line, so this was a passive bass anyway, the Ray 2 is, but I swapped it up for an EMG because the original pickup was, at least in this one, was super high output, very hot, and I did not like it. I did not like the sound, so I ended up swapping that out to a different bass that I had built, which was not good. I think I made a video of it, the Zebrano Wood Explorer bass that I made. If I remember right, the name of the title on that is the Zebrano Uh-Oh. Or no, that was Stilett Uh-Oh. Zebrano No? I think that's it. Anyway, it was Zebrano Zebra Wood. It didn't look that great. It wasn't that great, and I was the one who built it, so it was all my fault. But EMG, it's been upgraded, has the upgraded pickup. This, as well as this bass right here, this one, which is a Jackson Minion. So I think they're 28.5-inch short scale, which it has an upgrade to a Hipshot kick-ass high mass bridge. That's the only upgrade to it because it didn't really need much of anything else. They are the last 4 strings that I own, and they are the ones that are up for grabs. I actually pulled up the channel right before starting the stream, and we are at 199 subscribers. So if we manage to pick one up during the stream today, these 2 basses will be the options available for a giveaway that I am going to do. I prefer 5 strings. I got these for review purposes. The Minion I got because I wanted something for travel, and then I realized I'll just travel with whatever I want rather than having a travel bass. So they are the 2 options available. How that will work when we've hit 200 subscribers. If it happens during this stream, then the comments from this stream will be the first set of entries. I will use a random number generator and pull one of those comments, that person is entered in a 50% chance until next week when the comments on this live stream, once it's posted, the comments there from the posted video, I will do again a random number generator. It will pick a number, whatever comment that one is will be the other entry, and if it's both the same person, then hey, by virtue of luck, you get both. So that means you win. I will then do whatever I can. Hopefully, YouTube has a way to message people. I will do whatever I can, or on the next live stream, I'll announce who the winner was. And if that person can come forward to contact me, then I will coordinate getting them shipped one of the two bases as a prize for me being able to hit 200 subscribers. Because when this channel got created, when I was bullied into making the channel, I told Bully the kid that I never thought I'd hit 200 subscribers because I didn't think there were that many people interested in what I had to say. So we'll see. We have GV Me Java, nice EMG MM. Yeah, I really like this pickup. It's pretty nice. It has the EMG wiring and stuff too. Oh, the knobs are also 3D printed because the other ones, I don't remember. I think I just didn't like them. I was going to upgrade the bridge, and then I realized I'm probably not keeping this bass, and that was a long time ago. The video for this should have been out quite a while now. I have a hard time keeping the videos in track in my mind. I put a community post out the other day that I have all videos except one through the end of the year recorded. So I'm at 6 months ahead. And then at the end of the year, I will have a big year-long encompassing video. Probably not the same as this last year. I don't think I'm going to go through and like double do every review. But what I'll probably do is do any revisits that maybe I found something new about the instrument, that kind of thing. And then I'll talk about where the plans are for the channel for 2026. And then the BASSics live stream for that week before the end of the year is definitely going to be a comments situation for what you guys would prefer out of the ideas that I put forward. And yes, Java, that is exactly why. That is actually the description of the channel, is that I was bullied into making this channel because I had no aspirations to do anything on YouTube. I'm not the best bass player. I'm okay, hence the name. Like, I'm okay. You could have a band and they could hire me, and they'll find someone better eventually, but they'll probably at least let me come back. That would be my guess anyway. But yes, so it's Bully's fault that you're all here right now, really, is how that works. But anyway, into today, the lesson that I want to cover is on the simple art of reading tabs / sheet music, as well as how those work, and then trying to put together what all of it's telling you to learn how to play a lick, a song, whatever you want to call it. So I tried this earlier and it worked. So I'm going to tell it to show an image, and I'm going to tell it to show an image of a very short piece of sheet music. Hopefully this has come up. I'm going to do that. I like that better because then I'm here and I know I'm still there. So if there is anyone in chat right now, if someone could give me some sort of yes or no, if music, sheet music, a whole bunch of lines with some numbers and squiggles. If anyone can confirm that a long set of lines with numbers and squiggles has come on the screen, that way this is a lot easier for y'all to understand. If no one tells me that, okay, I've got Jeffrey Boyle given a whole bunch of symbols, so awesome. I'm going to take it. That means lines and squiggles and numbers have appeared. So, looking at this, you are going to see there are Horizontal lines, long horizontal lines, those are indicative of the strings on your bass. However, it is not looking at it this way. It is basically looking at it upside down. So you can imagine that what you're seeing there is you looking straight down at the strings of your bass. So the bottom line, the lowest line on the screen, is your lowest string. Again, this is super basic stuff. So bear with me if you already know this. Again, these are recorded and uploaded so that it has posterity in case someone else wants to know. I grabbed this from Ultimate Guitar's app. I like using them. They have a lot of publicly put stuff. This is one that came from their professional people. I think it's like $30 a year to have the full thing. You can definitely do that. Just expect that they're still going to try to sell you other stuff, which is typically their lessons platform or something like that. So the horizontal lines, again, are your strings, but they are upside down. So you'll see 4 lines. That's for all 4 strings. So if you have a 5 string, you're not looking at the B string at all. This is for E, A, D, and G. However, if you look at the top left of this screenshot, it says tuning is E flat, A flat, D flat, and G flat. That weird looking lowercase b thing is a flat symbol. That means half step lower than that standard note. So I'm presuming that everyone knows how to tune their bass. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly down tune the bass to what would be, you can look at it 2 ways. Every flat has a corresponding sharp. I'm saying this because I'm noticing that my Snark tuner that I use doesn't show flats, it shows sharps. So in my case, I am tuning to the note below, but a sharp. So instead of E flat, I'm tuning to, I'm tuning to D sharp, and then G sharp, C sharp, and F sharp. As soon as it'll get there. There we go. Close enough. Sorry about that. Didn't think about it. Didn't even notice it until just now. The next thing it says is capo. Very rarely have ever seen anyone use a capo on a bass. A capo is a long, typically spring-loaded clip. You might have seen them used on guitars. Most predominantly that I've seen is on acoustic guitars. They are a clamp that goes onto one of the frets all the way across your strings. And it makes it a lot easier for when playing chords, that you can play simple, easy, familiar chords instead of playing like bar chords, which on a guitar is a thing. But either way, it says no capo. Since this is a bass, typically I've never seen anyone list that the official music for a bass uses a capo. So we're good there. And then as it says, the key is D sharp, that pound symbol, hashtag octothorpe, whatever you would like to call it, tic-tac-toe board. That is a sharp. So it is the corresponding thing to the lowercase b symbol with the tunings. That is a flat. So it's saying it's in D sharp. The little m means minor. In the tuning, the E flat, that first string, the lowest note, and the key being D sharp, those are actually, the same thing. A D sharp is an E flat. So there's just some fun trivia for you. It doesn't have anything to do with the actual lesson, but it's a thing I can mention. It lists that the part we're playing is intro. You see a filled in circle with a stick going straight up from it. That is actually called a quarter note, and it says equals 140. That is how the music writes the time signature. That means that the song is played at 140 beats per minute. So there you go. Now we're finally down where it says the tab. Tab means tablature. It means it's telling you on what fret the note will be played on what string. Then it has a 4 over a 4. That means the music is in 4/4 time. So that means each of the vertical lines, that you have going down the 4 long lines is called a measure. So it means every measure should have the equivalent of 4 beats. The most common music is in 4/4 time. That's 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4. If you were counting it out in your head, I do not count numbers in my head. I've tried. I can't manage it. It just is what it is. So, and you'll notice in the first, before the first line, there's a small rectangle hanging off the bottom of one of the lines. It doesn't matter where that is. It's just usually facing the center. If it's hanging off the bottom of the line, that is a full rest. That means nothing is being played in those 4 beats. The easy way to remember that is if you think of it like an old-fashioned top hat. A gentleman takes his hat off, so it is upside down. The top of the hat is hanging down. If you look at the last part, which would be, hopefully you see it the way I do, right above my hand, you see that rectangle's on top of a line. That person is not a gentleman. They still have their hat on. It is going up from a line. That is a half rest, so that means 2 beats are not being played. This is a whole lot. Don't worry. Again, it's all recorded. You can follow this back. So here, that means when the song starts, the first 4 beats, you don't have to play. So it's the easiest thing in the world. Do nothing. I know it's hard to not play. You really want to play, but don't. Full rest. Once that line would be done, on the start of the second measure, which is what everything between the lines is called. So there's a full measure of rest. And then we have the next line over, which starts with a 0. That is the next measure until the end of the next vertical line is a full measure. You'll see the 0 has what looks to be a weird upside down flag, or maybe a really cool Grim Reaper scythe. That symbol indicates that it is an 8th note. That means that instead of when we looked up and we saw the 4/4 time and the quarter note for equals 100, that means a fourth of the measure is at 140 beats per minute. Anyway, the 8th note means that if you are counting to 4 in each measure, 1 2 3 4, 1 2 3 4, you would need to divide those into halves. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. The and is a halfway point between each note. So the 0 takes up a 1 and then stops on and. So 1 and. 1 and. That's just the first note we're looking at. You'll notice this weird looking freaking zigzaggy squiggly guy. Why he exists, the history behind it, I have no clue. Maybe I'll look that up and talk about that one day when I think everybody needs a nap. That is a quarter note rest. That means, again, don't play for a whole 1 and some number and worth. But since the 0, that first 0, is 1, and that's it. It isn't with an and. That means the rest starts with the and also includes 2, because it's a quarter note of the whole measure, and we started with an 8th. If you're not good at math, I don't know what else to tell you. So, continuing with just those 2 things we have. 1 and 2. That's how far we are. 1 and 2. With the 1 being just playing the open string on your first string. So 1 and 2. Now we have another 0 with the little scythe hanging off of him. So that will be our and after the number 2. 1 and 2 and. We're halfway there. We can start playing Bon Jovi. We can't play Bon Jovi. This is Feel Good Inc. by the Gorillaz. So we're halfway through the measure. The next thing we see is a 2 and a 3, and they have lines coming off of them and connected by a bar. Well, what the heck does that mean, Travis? Because music is a math thing, And because music and math don't like each other, the rules are stupid. Again, I don't know why that weird squiggly thing is a quarter note rest. Just is. Don't know why a top hat off is a whole rest, but a top hat on top is a half rest, but then some weird squiggly guy is that. We'll talk about an eighth note rest later. It's actually this guy right here at the beginning of the last measure. But anyway, that bar means they're also eighth notes. But because they're next to each other, they get a bar connected because they're a number with an and. I know, probably isn't making any sense, but this is just how things live in the music numbers world. So, we know we have a 1 and 2 and. Now we have to play that number, the fret number 2 and the fret number 3, all still on the first string, and they're on the 3 and the and of the 3. Wonderful English gets mixed into this, and we have too many ands and too many numbers explaining numbers, but here we go. So I'm going to try and have it where y'all can see what I'm playing. So first fret, second fret, that's the one we'll be playing. So we have an open string, 1, that buzzed too much, 1 and 2 and 3 and that's the 2, then the 3 for the 3 and. Then you'll see this guy who looks like he's some dude with a big head whose back got broken in half and he's bending over, or he looks like a 7 with a tumor on the end of his head. I don't know which one you want to call him, but that is a that is an eighth note rest. So the 4, we don't play anything. Then we move from the first fret to the second fret, and we play a 3 on the and for the 4th beat. So all together, I'll count it, and then I'll do it without the counting for just this first measure. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, sorry. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. There we go. That's the first measure. So when you put all that together without me counting over top, sounds almost completely familiar. You look at the third measure, you'll see another eighth note rest, and then a 2. Underneath that 2, you see there's a line. All of them so far have had a line underneath. But then there's a dot. What the heck does that dot mean? Well, Travis is here to try and explain it as best he can. Dots after a line mean however much that line is worth plus a half of that amount. So we have an eighth note rest. We have a very short, stubby little line and a dot. That short, stubby little line means that that 2 that we're playing lasts half of the measure plus half of that half, which means 3/4 of the entire measure. So 3 numbers with their and. So the eighth note rest is your 1. That means the 2 comes in on the first and then lasts for 3 full numbers. So rest on 1, then the 2, which is on the second fret because it's on the second line up, lasts from the and for 3 numbers with their and. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Then you stop because that's 6 worth if you count the number and the ands. And then you have an eighth note rest at the end, which rounds out the last and from the number 4. I am sorry, I am not a music teacher. I'm just explaining it as best I can. But when you added that 2 in with all the rests, you managed to get the last note of the first half of how to play the lick of Feel Good Inc., which is played through the entire song. So, we're going to go back to not the first measure because it's completely empty. We're going to go back to the second measure and start. I will count over the top as best I can. Like I said, I'm sorry I don't count any of this in my head. I just feel when it's supposed to be played and I remember what it's supposed to sound like. I'm going to try and count it for you. So we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. That's the second measure. The third measure is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. If we put it together without me counting, that's half of it. So if the numbers and squiggles and symbols and everything didn't make sense, again, you can go back and rewatch it. The symbolism that's in here, you have to memorize if you're going to read it. If you're going to play by sight, I wish I could do that. You have to know that. The other thing I will say is that most tablature that you have is not going to have the symbols. Those are there. They make it a little more advanced, but they make it more precise. Most of the simple tabs that you see are just going to have the lines sideways. Sometimes the vertical lines indicating the measure, but they're usually just going to have the horizontal lines and the numbers with just spaces in between them to show that it's not the number 23, it's the numbers 2 and a 3. This added an extra level that needs discussed. And I didn't want to just put up a list of numbers and then explain that and then someone end up needing to figure out what any of the other symbols meant. So, again, if we just go from the second measure through the third, I'm not going to count it, but what you get is that's the first half. So now we're going to start with the fourth measure. 1 is empty, 2, then 3. Now we're at the 4. Starts with a 0. If you remember, the weird upside down scythe looking thing means that it's an 8th note, means it's just a number or an and. In this case, it's the start, so it's a 1. We also have the weird squiggle guy quarter note rest. That means he's and as well as 2. Just like how the song started. It goes da, 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 da. If you look, not counting the pitch of the notes, the next set is da, 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 da. They are the same frequency and pattern of hitting the notes. It's just when the notes are played is in different places. So we have a 0, which is 1 and 2 for the rest, and now we're still on the second fret, 3 and then we have our weird little 7 guy, 4, and then we jump back to the first string with that 3 to being the and for the 4th beat. And. So again, open string on the second to start the measure. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Then back to the first and. Then just like the third measure, we have the weird rest for the first number, which is 1. But then you'll notice it's a 0 with the little scythe-do on the bottom, which means it's only for the and, for the open string 0. Then we have the hat on the top, so he's 2 and 3 and resting. And then we got the weird squiggle guy. Well, Travis, why didn't they just put a dot after the hat? you said that would add it, and if he's 2 and a dot means half of the thing, and that'd be 3. I have no clue. I didn't write this thing. I didn't. I just stole it, screenshotted it. I don't know. Maybe there's a rule you can't do a dot on a half rest. I don't know. But we know that weird squiggly guy means for and, in this case, for a rest. So, starting with the fourth one. Again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Then we get to the 5, the fifth one. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. We put all of those together without me counting. Sorry. Notice we don't let it ring like we did the 2 on the first half. It's a thing whenever I play it, I always like to let it ring because it fills stuff more and you get more bass that way. But now what we're going to do, without counting, we're going to go all the way back to the beginning and we're going to play it. There you go. The biggest thing you would have to do is you have to understand, if you're going to sight read it, then you have to understand each thing you're reading at that certain time frame. If you're going to play it by ear, you just got to get a feel for how the song sounds. This is a super easy song because, again, for bass, it's the same. It's this same thing, the thing I just played. It's over and over and over. There are 2 times in the song this isn't getting played. In the song, when it does the chorus, which if you've heard the song, it goes windmill, windmill, for the land, love forever, hand in hand, all that. It's not played at all during that. It's completely quiet for the bass. The other thing is right before it goes into the first chorus, there's a little rundown of notes. No. Anyway, I'd have to look up which ones those are exactly. But there's a walk down of notes. That's the only time this isn't played in the whole song. So you've got that. That just takes practice of getting the timing right. That's one of the biggest things for us if you're a bass player, is we've got to stay with the drummer on time. Our job is to help the rhythm section coordinate into the musical, actual note-based side. We have to keep the rhythm going while also outlining what the music notes are to be, like what the scale and chord sets. We are there to bridge rhythm, the timing of the music, to the melodic side being the actual music. We're there to outline the melodic side while keeping rhythm for that. That's our job as bass players. So again, if you go through it one more time. Well, we're supposed to let that ring, so. And there you have it. So there's a simple way of reading music to, again, this is tablature. If you were looking at regular sheet music, like what's done for orchestras, pianos, basically anything except guitar and bass that I've ever seen. I've never seen anyone else who had tablature. This is tablature, not sheet music. Sheet music uses a lot of the same things. It uses the same time signature of the 4/4. It still has the speed at which the music's played, which is 140 beats per minute in this case. It also has the long lines, although for regular music there are 5 lines. It also uses the weird squiggles and the hats off and the hat on and the line with the little flags or the bars or the short line with the dot. All of those things are used. They also use additional symbols, and they don't have numbers. It's some type of either circle, whether it's filled in, a big circle with no line, or an open circle with a line. The amount of little flags or sides coming off of them can be even more if the notes are supposed to be even faster. Regular sheet music is something that I almost never use. I use it if I'm having to learn a new song and that new song doesn't list what the chord at least is. Most sheet music will have the note being played on melody, typically like piano, and then above it will list what the chord progression is for the rhythm side, being, like a rhythm guitar. From there, I'll take those. But if it doesn't have those, then is when I have to read sheet music, and I don't like doing it because I'm not good at it. But that is what we have there. So if you need to, take a screenshot of this wonderful piece, or just go to Ultimate Guitar and go to Feel Good Inc. and it's there. You'll see this changed up all over the place. If you have standard tuning, so just EADG, obviously you can't play the half. We had to tune down for the half. So if that were to be the case, you would then be looking on your fretboard. If it's tuned in standard and you have to play it in E flat, you would be looking for where can I get an E flat? And that would actually be on the 6th fret of the 2nd string, where you would end up getting that E flat. So feasibly, you could do the same thing there. It would just be an octave higher. So it would be... I think I hit a wrong note in there, but it would be an octave higher, so it wouldn't be the lowest note that you can play on the bass, but it would be the lowest you could play if you have a 4-string tuned to standard. If you have a 5-string, you could scoot up to the B string and you could play it there. So that's definitely an option too. So if you want this, again, you can screenshot it, going once, going twice, going a half time and a quarter time with weird dots and squiggles. Just kidding. So we're back to me. Oh, sorry. I know the numbers are much more pretty than I am. But anyway, so again, that was an example with a bass tuned down a half step. A lot of songs do that. They have the bass tuned down half a step. Again, if you're playing a 5-string, you could be in standard tuning. Actually, I'll just grab one. Give me just a second. Watch out for noise. Hopefully that wasn't bad. So now we're playing a wonderful Cort A5 Plus. This has a cool story. You'll see it if you watch the review video that comes out later in the year. This one was actually involved in a fire at a music shop, and I got it very cheap. Apparently a guy just went in and wholesale bought all of the instruments, cleaned them up, made sure they worked. Came with Hipshot Ultralight tuners. They got a little toasty. It now has a roasted headstock, fire roasted. It's a little darker as it goes up the neck. You can see kind of where the flames might have been close and licked at it, or smoke. I don't know. This is for sale. You can find it on Reverb. Look for a background this color, and it's this. I have it super cheap because I don't like the electronics, and I don't feel like paying to get the electronics changed. But just a fun little happenstance, if you happen to have a 5-string, you do not have to tune down in order to play that in E flat. Your B string, if you go to the 5th fret, is an E. So 5th fret B string, open fret, open string on the 2nd string. Sounds slightly different based on, let me make sure they're tuned for one. That could definitely change it. Also, hello, Dino. Let's see. Yeah, the B's slightly off. Now it's slightly off the other way. Come on. This is such a good bass. I do like this bass. I just don't like the electronics because I want it to go in passive. and this might be a spoiler for the review, but for some reason, unlike the Court Space 5, which I also have a review coming and an unboxing. It's over there on the wall. The Space 5 has the same pickups, made by the same people, the Bartolini MK1s, and the instrument was made by Court. And for some reason, they did the electronics differently in this bass versus that one, even though it's the same pickup. And in doing so, the one on the A5 Plus, this awesome looking single cut guy right here with the pretty burl top. Look at that. That thing's so pretty. Putting this in passive mode bypasses the EQ, but still requires power. Don't know why. You still got to have a battery. If I pull the battery out of this right now, it doesn't work. So I can either pay to get somebody to make it not do that, or I can sell it. So it's listed for sale, and it's just a little over half of what a new one costs if you get it from like Musician's Friend or Guitar Center. If you find it on Reverb and you want to buy it, tell me that you saw it in the live stream. I'll give you a deal. I will, because I don't want to pay to have this made the way it should have been. That irks me. But anyway, back to the lesson thing. So we're looking at the B string. The 5th fret is the E, same as the no fret on the next one. So that means that if we down tuned half a step to do the song, if we move up 1 fret, so the 4th fret on your B string, that's an E flat, which means you can play the same thing fretting it there as if it was the 0 on the 1st string when it was detuned. So you could play it on a 5 string I know you can't see that, so I'm going to try, but let's see, here we go. So again, this is our 0 now, so we're going up 2 and 3 when those notes come. Sorry about the buzzing. I don't normally fret 2 strings at the same time. I just don't. So the basses are beautiful. Well, thank you, Wyvern. Wyverns are cool. They're dragons, except they have 2 less limbs. It's pretty neat. So again, that's another option. If you have a 5 string, that extended range is going to give you the ability to play that without having to detune. I don't have the sheet music for it, but I can for next week, because if I cover a song next week, I was going to do 7 Nation Army, but I thought of a better one because it's also an E flat, so it can kind of ride the coattails of this one, and that's Motorhead's The Game. It's also an E flat, so you could again get a bass that's detuned for that, or if I can get this in frame, because I don't know how cameras work, you could play it again using this, and it's, let's see. It's almost the first lick. Motorhead's The Game is basically 3 different licks played throughout the song. The first one is it's the same notes minus 1. It's the same notes as Feel Good Inc. On the detuned bass, it would still be the 0, 3, and 2 on the first string, and it's the 3 and 2 on the second string. So again, if you're on a 5 string, you're using that B string on number 4, so you're still playing 4, 7, and 6, and then on the second string, the 7 and 6. Or you could, move it around however you want to do for ease of play, and you could play the 4, and then you could just move up to the 2 and 1 on your second and third string. For those who don't know, easy trick, whatever note you play on the thicker string is the same thing as the note 5 frets up on the next string over. So if I grab the 10th note, 10th fret on the B string, that is the same as the 5th on the second string, which is the same as not fretting anything on the third string. Now, every one of those is a D. No, A, sorry. They sound different just because the length of the string and the thickness of the string will, though it's the same note, intonation is one thing. Also, there's a different amount of, I don't know how to describe it, roundness to the sound. So whether it's it sounds brighter if you have an open string, sounds a little darker if you use a thicker string with less length. But they're all A. Pretty neat. So fun fact for that. Another fun fact, not that it's connected to reading music like the lesson's about. If you take a note, pick a note, any note, the 3rd fret on the B string, which if you're good at music math is a D. If you go 2 frets higher and 2 strings higher, so 1, 2, 1, 2, that is the same note but an octave higher or lower depending on whether you're going from one to the other. So again, on that we have D, very low D, or we can come over here, down 2, up 2. Those are both D. Some cool harmony. Anyway, so there's what you got. Let me check. Ye old comment. Hey, we got a lot of comments, so there's a lot of people. Double check if we have 200 subs yet, because if we do, a lot of entries for some gives away. Still at 199. Still got time though. I'm still going to be on for another couple minutes, so we'll see. Otherwise, it'll be next week. Have to come back next week, get them entries if you want to win a bass. So look at the comments, see if anybody has anything. Yes. Makes sense. Top hat, nice reference. Thank you. I remember that from 3rd grade music class. That was a long time ago. Simple math, not bad. Simple, yes. As long as you know numbers and fractions when it comes to bass, I don't know of many things you need more than an eighth. Like I know Peace Sells by Megadeth is, I believe it's 4/4 time, and I think that it's a whole bunch of eighth notes, especially in the, not the intro, the awesome intro, which I'm actually going to do a video at some point. I don't know when, maybe this year, maybe next year. I don't know how to play the intro to Peace Sells, so I plan to basically set the iPad up so you can see me struggling. I'm going to put it on my second screen to see what the notes are, like we just did here, and then I'm going to have like 1 or 2 cameras, one maybe looking straight at the bass, and I don't know, maybe another one looking like at an upward angle down to see what I'm doing for every time I look down at the fretboard to figure out why I'm dumb and can't do it. I plan to try to record live me learning that song with a timer to see how long it takes me to figure out. For those who don't know, listen to Megadeth's Peace Sells. The intro is on bass and it's freaking amazing. I love that line. That's why I want to learn it. It's super impressive. I really like it. But during the verses, not super impressive. It's literally just that. It's eighths. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and it's not complicated there. The intro, probably not complicated, but it sounds super cool, and those are the best to me. It's something that's simple but makes it sound like I'm good at something. No worries on the counting. Great info. I do what I can. Ramones probably would count off every song 1, 2, 3, 4. That's great if the song is in 4/4 time. It's definitely the most common time signature. You also have 3/4 time, which means each measure, has 3 beats. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Those are like waltzes. Waltzes are in 3/4. You also have 1/2 time. A lot of military, like old military stuff. There's a lot of that. That's 1/2 time. Also a heartbeat. Bum 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 bum. 1 2 1 2 1 2. That's in 1/2 time. We did a song at my church today, which is in 6/8 time. So those of you who love math can be infuriated by the fact that we don't reduce the fraction. Or you can go with the old adage that I heard from a drummer I know who likes to make jokes, who said, all music is in 4/4 time if you don't count weird. I don't know. I don't know enough of time signature stuff to get super deep into it. I do have the ability, if all I'm doing is counting and tapping on a table, I can do differentiated time signatures one hand to the next. There are others that exist. To name a band, Tool, who I don't know if they even know how time signatures work. They just play stuff. Because if you look at some of the music for Tool, like every few measures, the time signature changes. Like, I think Schism is something like 5/8 plus 9/8, or 5/8 plus 7/8, or I don't know. If you don't know how that is, I will horribly play it for you right now. Nope. Something like that. It's different throughout. It's crazy. I'm not covering that unless y'all really want me to, but if you really want me to, I'll try. I'll make a complete ass of myself. I don't care. I do that all the time anyway. Dino Dan says, yo. Jeffrey says, Dan. Wyvern said the basses were beautiful. I appreciated that. Dino Dan says, yo, Jeff. Jeff said, cheers. Jeff said, Wyvern. RC said, helpful hint, brother. Play all notes exactly on the frets and fretting with your fingertips. On the fret. Never heard that before. I played guitar for years. I've played bass for years too, but I'm still not good at it. Never heard playing on the fret. That's... You mean like right behind it, I guess. Hey, I'll give it a shot. I've been playing for a long time. I've been bad at playing for a long time, so I might have taught myself bad habits, but... Hey, it helped. Cool. Thank you, RC. See, now you need to come on here and you teach stuff because you taught me something. And then Java says, a lot of the music at my church plays in 6/8. Yeah, I didn't like it. Like I said, I don't count. I heard other people counting, like the pianist. And today, the one that we played that was 6/8 was a new song. I hadn't heard the song until this week, so I listened to it a few times, practiced it a couple times. It was more difficult for me to play on bass than on acoustic, because on acoustic I can just strum dun 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 the whole time. Like I don't have to think about playing the specific note when it changes from one to the next. I don't have to worry about if because on, at least the way I play rhythm acoustic, I play on all the beat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'm out there going. That's what I was doing. I'm sorry if that was bad. I saw my focus right, like things were pegging. So hopefully that wasn't awful and horribly clanky. But that was a lot easier on that one for me. Let's see. Music math just takes some practice. Well, that's what everyone's here for. It's my number one thing for anyone who wants to learn. Practice. You can buy all the bases. Look at all these bases. Not a single one of them's made me better. They've made me practice more because I really like them and I wanted to play them. And that made me practice more, which meant I got better. I figure if I get about 5,000 bases that I like, I will be an expert because I'll want to practice all the time. But, that is what it is. That's called gear acquisition syndrome, and it is a problem. They should have federal aid available for those who suffer from it. I believe my insurance should, I should be able to pay a copay, and in order to help facilitate this horrible condition, I should be able to pay like a $75 copay in order to get one prescription base per month. But, my pharmacy doesn't have bases either. And if they did, it'd all be just cheap crap probably. I'd have to get the generics. Couldn't get the name brand. I'll have to take you up on that sometime. You're a cool dude. I would hang out with you. Well, you say I'm a cool dude, but that's because I have cool bases behind me and I'm holding one. In real life, I'm boring, but that's okay. Because then you can be the cool guy, I can be the boring guy, and you'll look even better by comparison. That's what it takes. Yeah. One of these days, I'll probably do like Bully did, which got me involved with all this, and I'll throw an invite out into the chat world and let people join and hope that nobody gets me canceled, demonetized, or my channel turned off. We're going to hope. Let's see. Calculation for the current number of bases equals current number of bases plus 1. Yes, it is. It is a linear progression. Y being the number of bases I need is equal to X being the number of bases I have plus 1. It's a line. It's a straight line. It's great. Just always get more bases. The good thing is you can arbitrarily and randomly get rid of bases so that you have room for more bases. Hence the giveaway of this, and then the selling of this. So somebody out there who needs a base, one of you needs this one, you can buy it, and I'll ship it to you. There we go. So that brings us to about the end. We got 3 minutes left before I start getting messages and calls and knockings on doors telling me that my stuff's supposed to be over so I can do other things like spend time with my family and not my bases. Crazy. They should all just learn how to play bass and then we could all have a good time. That's not possible. I'm not going to mention who, but there's a particular member of my family who can't keep time with a metronome. Just can't tap a desk at the same rate. Can't do it. Not going to mention who, but I might have married them. Anyway, so that is what I have. I don't see any new comments coming in, so unless I get any of those, I'm going to double check the YouTube. Still shows 199, so it looks like we're looking at next week for hitting 200, and then a week after for the total up of comments. So, as always, everyone, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day.